last time on Dice Funk.
So they've sort of made a ethereal metal ladle.
You all are treating this like it's just a toy. This is an extremely solemn moment, or it's going to be in the saga.
Vine starts spreading up his spear arm, and he thrusts forth into her chest as they entangle her again, and fire rises out of his mouth as he goes to just effectively incinerate her, when she then yields, and then he immediately pulls his spear free, and the flames recede back into his throat. He goes, "Oh, okay."
Treyan does, walk up to the sarcophagus and just rests his hand on it. Well, I know you can't hear me, but, thank you for making all this land for us, I guess.
Treyan, I think you, with the sports medicine background, you maybe have identified one of the blobs of flesh as it flung out at you as a adrenal gland. And putting 2 and 2 together from the dwarves hologram video that he sent to you about his remains being in the next room, you think you now have the body part of a god inside of you, which is empowering you. In fact, you gain a level.
I'm going to take a closer look at this pickaxe. Maybe we could learn how to mimic it, even a small fraction of godly power to spread that to other people.
That's really idealistic, and I think it'd be great if we could all join hands and share, but I don't know if you remember Rex from a week ago and the trying to kill us thing. I think you're gonna have a hard time convincing everyone, especially because everyone has enmity that goes back generations, and we've all done things we're not proud of.
Which, I guess, if you're leaving, would beg the question if you need this helmet back.
Aww. Bronco shakes his head and says, "No, it's my gift to you. I have other accoutrements from home. Maybe in the next one of these tombs, there's a cool god helmet. And maybe also a message that isn't completely mangled and garbled so that we can actually understand what they were trying to say to us."
I think Throg says, well, if you're providing the materials, maybe we can arrange some sort of equitable deal that benefits everyone. It's not a matter of commerce, it's a matter of help for help.
There is some mysterious creature that preys on the livestock of our farm. I've seen it towering over the horizon, but none who have gone to slay it have returned, including several angels, so I am not hopeful for adventurers of your stature.
This one time in high school, I opened up a case of one of our computer lab's computers and found a can of soup inside of it.
Is that? Oh, that must have been the soup that also was eating before the recording, wasn't it?
I think that's just how people who use computers for a full time are. They just leave their soup there. That's fine.
They put cans of soup inside of them.
Exactly.
It'll heat it up for you.
Yeah, that's how you.
Yummy.
Oh, that's what they mean by people. So that's what people mean when they say they have a souped up rig. Wow.
That's what big CPU cooling doesn't want you to know about. You can use your CPU to heat up nice cans of chicken noodle for yourself.
Poor IT person who later that day was like, can't wait to have a little snack. And they went to the computer lab and found they had been burgled.
People now know where all the soup is hidden. It's right on the CPU heat sinks. Oh boy. Well, speaking about food, I think we were going to engage in some big game hunting right now. Isn't that right?
I suppose. I wasn't entirely sure how this would all go. I did not foresee you all accepting this mission because we know from Pants for Pets LLC that the monster still exists when they go there, which doesn't bode well for you. So we'll see how that works out.
This is as literal as you can get to accidentally recreating that post about a guy who accidentally put a mountain in a prequel for his D&D campaign. Everyone's just like, where's the mountain go?
I'm also thinking that, well, you also didn't expect us to try to actually, like, do a positive thing and try to solve the economy problem of the New World. So, you know,
Look, the nature of the job is this world safe for dragons? And if there is a 600-foot tall giant roaming around, that's kind of important to know.
Throg is putting his body on the line to test the theory. If the thing kills Throg, it might not be safe for other dragons. You know, that's a good scientific test, as a man of science would do, like Throg.
Yeah, that's why I eat every single thing I'm not familiar with.
Right. That's how you determine whether it's delicious and poisonous.
So we rejoin the party as you go north from the mine through the central settlement into Duma Farm. As you walk across this land, you see a number of people dressed in simple robes. They wave and smile, but they don't say anything. They have taken a vow of silence. And Laser, the UNT, leads you to the beginnings of a building that is being constructed here. Do you want to say or do anything before you are taken to where you're being taken to?
So if I remember correctly, Laser demanded we go with him immediately after seeing the door we busted up.
Demanded is a strong word, but it was definitely seeing the shattered door that made Laser react so strongly.
I just hope that I'm not in trouble or did anything wrong, you know.
You wanted us to come with you before you saw the door. After you saw the door, you demanded it. Why?
So as you're having this conversation, you're walking across the farm, or what will be a farm very soon. The halflings are getting, the beginnings of agriculture ready here. But you're also seeing the animals that they've corralled from this ecosystem. Notably, there are the Rons, which are oxen-like, beast of burden creatures, but they have kind of sad human faces, like Mr. Saturn from Earthbound, and they're also the Pengmen, kind of human penguin hybrids, also kind of upsetting to look at. Notably, there aren't any seagulls, which is something that Pants for Pets will see when they come here, but that is not developed yet. And so you're walking across the farm, we're seeing these new animals, and Laser says, "We have a door of our own, but our analysis of the writing on it has dire implications."
We don't want to make an oopsie and do something we can't take back.
Okay, that doesn't really tell me much, but all right. What's with all the human faces? It is like someone's just working with spare parts here. I mean, come on. Get the breeding program, you could probably make an actual human after a couple generations.
I'm pretty sure that Laser here didn't make the creatures here, so they just exist. That's just how they are, Throg.
Deeply troubling.
Yes, this biome was created, I believe, by the god of death.
It's a little scary.
Well, death is a cycle. We grow the plants, we harvest the plants, they return to the earth. The cycle of death is important.
But scary.
You said everyone else here so far seems to have taken a vow of silence, is that correct?
That is correct.
Laser, are you sort of the speaker for these people here? Are you the only one that talks?
Yes, I am the leader here, spiritually and politically, I suppose. I speak for the group.
I think Gladys is going to speak up and ask, like, why is everyone else taking a vow of silence? It seems, is there a reason for it, like religious, for safety reasons, for something else?
Well, we are a sect of Neonifixism. We believe that there is one person who broadcasts and everyone else listens.
Do you get to hear the broadcast at all?
It is no longer broadcasting. Now that responsibility has fallen to me.
So you would say you're the broadcaster.
It's me!
Interesting. I've never heard of this before.
I'm sure the dragons have their own version of why the old world was destroyed, and we have ours.
I wonder if any of us actually even know what the reasons the dragons believe the old world was destroyed.
Hoard got too big, cracked under its weight. Too much gold in one spot.
Too much gold broke it.
There's always the good. I think in old D&D lore, Bahamut and Tiamat were like the same god at one point, and then they got split in half. Something like that. Could always be the classic, as the dragon split, so did the fucking planet.
So they think it has to do with them. It's all about them. That's very narcissistic.
Oh, of course. That's every racial group on the planet. We're the important ones, the main characters.
Oh man, that is a lot of resonances throughout everyone in this series. I think it's probably especially Zana, but
I mean, I don't think that's a bad idea as well, but I think like any of those sort of, I mean, I guess the point is that there's many fables and myths about what the source of the split was, which would lead to different people having different answers for how to go about in the aftermath. So
you're having this discussion about what the dragons think happened to the old world as Laser shows you the foundation of what will be the main building here in Duma Farm. And under the foundation, there is a chamber. This will be the basement of the building Pets for Pants LLC gets locked in. But currently, it is a chamber with a big door in it. This door looks very much like the one Throg melted, but instead of having dwarvish and a symbol of a pickaxe, it has celestial and a symbol of a flaming iron rod.
I can read this one.
So can Treyan.
Everyone except Gladys can read it.
So Throg, you have no problem reading it. It just says that death opens the way. And there's a bunch of symbology of various death gods throughout history, like Hell and Thanatos. Probably some of those names and the sigils are inscribed on the door. And Laser already said that this biome was created by the god of death, the way the mines are created by the god of mining. So all that checks out.
Yeah, so I take it this is why you have brought us here?
Yes, it is my assumption this door could be opened with a sacrifice, but I would never endanger my family, nor would they want me to hurt a stranger. Yet we may need the power that lies beyond this door. Because of the big monster, remember?
The very big one, the mountain one, right?
Yes, as I said, we've sent adventurers to slay it, but none have returned. But if behind your door was this legendary magical tool, then perhaps the same is true here.
Well, I have to say that when we opened that other door, we did it in a kind of, we probably didn't do it the way that we were supposed to open it, and none of us could have read what was on the door. So I don't know if we can apply what we learned from there to here. And like Treyan like walks up to the door and like peers at it and just kind of like knocks on it with a knuckle, just kind of like a few times.
The consequences for treating this door inappropriately will probably be far more lethal than the mining door.
I don't have another snail with me anyway.
Oh, you were like you did carry a Glock. You were packing a Glockster with you over here. So, yeah.
If this was a regular D&D campaign, I probably would have milked that snail for a lot of acid.
I like that this isn't regular. It's just it's the one where you milk things. What does that mean? What are you saying?
Look, if this was a campaign I was playing that wasn't a podcast, I'd be doing a lot of stuff to like maximize my character's survival potential, and a lot of it's gonna sound pretty psychotic.
Okay, so yeah, you'd be a little munchkin.
Look, you give me a magical snail that can melt iron, I'm gonna be milking the snail.
But where will you put the snail milk? I don't think you'd have anything to carry it with.
You might be able to put it in like a glass vial. I don't know much about chemistry, but I know certain acids can only dissolve certain things.
That is true.
I have nipples, Throg. Can you milk me?
Probably yes, if I try hard enough.
Treyan also posits a question and says, I guess that you've all tried, I don't know, sacrificing crops for this thing, and that didn't work, right?
Yes, it appears that a great sacrifice must be made beyond the externalities of our trade.
So no crops and none of those weird little animals with the faces on them.
I don't think any of us are planning on dying in this room just yet, but if there's that mountain or whatever it is you want us to take a look at, might as well do what we can to help get things running more stable around here. So,
yeah, Throg will stroke his chin tentacles and say, I will not lie, I do not know how to open this door, but I wonder if it is so literal as in killing another sentient being. Behind the first door we encountered, it had a recording of a dwarven man speaking that we were being entrusted with a legacy to improve the world, yada, 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 etc., etc. Go watch the previous episode.
If these different biomes are made by different gods, there might be a chance that they actually have different viewpoints about how things are meant to be run up here.
Possibly. I mean, they made a lot of real fucked up animals.
Very poor, shoddy craftsmanship. It kind of freaked me out, but only a little bit now.
I like the idea that during this conversation, a Ron has been like, giving you a cow lick. Gladys in the background, just like this weird, sad-faced man, just nibbling on your head.
Just gently pushes it away. I think, would that thing be like as big as Gladys? It's like, how big is that thing?
The law of comedy says it looks exactly like Ben Shapiro.
Oh, no, it doesn't. No, it looks like that picture of the blobfish that has been brought up to the surface, but the size of like an ox.
Yeah, it said Ben Shapiro.
Oh, God.
Okay. No, it's the opposite. It's diminutive, a tiny.
Oh, it's too big.
It's, yeah.
Pushes it even more away.
Oh, you have made a friend.
I don't think it's a friend. I think it just wants...
For its suffering to end?
I just like how Throg just wants to like make all the fauna up here just extinct. It's amazing.
I think it just wants to nibble.
Look, Throg thinks he would have done a way better job.
Throg going onto the Yelp page for Pants for Pets LLC, 1 star.
1 star, too much human skin.
That's a criticism they've been hearing a lot.
So, lasers, you think we should just be headed on north to try to take on that thing to get rid of it as a threat, unless there's anything else we're supposed to be doing around here. I'm not sure how much more of help we can be in the immediate area.
Yes, I think that would be best. I will take you as far as I can. It's not a matter of cowardice, you understand. We just have to be here for the other people on the farm. We're not scared.
You said it was coming down to raid your livestock, correct?
Yes, it picks up our pegmen in the night and devours them. They love it. They're sick.
The Pangmen love it?
Yes, this unfortunate animal was apparently created with a love of its own destruction. They make an excellent food source, although it can take some adjustment.
You're telling me they made BDSM penguins? Well, actually, this would be more like Vore penguins. Yeah, these are Vore penguins.
I didn't do this. There's audio evidence that this was not me.
This god of death seems to have a weird sense of humor.
You allowed it.
The Vore season was season 6. I'm sorry. So,
Oh, Christ.
Back to my original question.
A creature that big would have left footprints, yes, and I imagine that those wouldn't be going away that quickly. Could you take us to them?
Laser leads you up out of the chamber with the door and to the north of the farm. Why don't you roll survival?
23.
wow.
Or 22.
No, you rolled 22. I rolled 23 somehow.
All right, 23 and 22. The party succeeds, which leads me to tell you this thing with no ambiguity, which is that there are no footprints to the north of the farm, which is extremely strange. As you point out, Throg, something of that size should definitely leave some kind of footprint. So that's a thing. I will tell you as you head north, you can see the horizon, and it has a number of shapes on it. It could be a mountain range of some sort, but you're going in the right direction. And there is, there's something out there that is different than the flat land around you.
This creature, is it physically stepping on these lands, or is it so large it is able to reach down from miles away and grab your penguins? How many is it taking a night? A creature that large would be wiping you out.
Treyan is thinking on this and posits a dumb answer in the form of, maybe it has clouds for feet or something, and it doesn't actually touch the ground fully and doesn't leave any marks that way.
Laser says, the beast mostly comes in the dead of night. It's hard to see this large shape that looms over, and it reaches down and picks up a pengman and disappears back into the north, into the darkness. It is a shape more than an animal.
And are you seeing it kill the creature, or does it just abscond with it and leave?
So many questions. Are we on trial here? Are you the little question dragon? Do you shoot a little question breath weapon? Oh no, here comes the question marks.
Just making sure we know everything we possibly can before we go there.
If we know too much about it, maybe it'll know too much about us, and that might make it harder to kill it. So,
What?
I don't think it's spying on us.
That's a great idea for a D&D creature.
isn't it? Just if the more you research it, the more powerful it gets, so it just wants you to be dumb on the way in.
If you roll nature on it, it rolls nature on you.
I think that should be allowed for Call of Cthulhu type games, where if your character's too stupid to understand the non-Euclidean creatures it's looking at, you don't lose sanity. So you're just we're fucking squid.
Is this creature so large that it's in a different biome from the one it's stealing these pangmen from?
Actually, with the 22 and 23 on the survival, I can tell you that appears to be the case. This is the farm ecosystem, and you are leaving to the north to the next ecosystem. So that is 100% true. In fact, a thing about the ones you've seen so far, about the ecosystems you've seen so far, is that they are relatively normal. There's been a prairie, a farm, a mine. These are things you can find in the old world. The main strange thing is that they just have hard dividing lines instead of like a gradual change in the topography as one fades into the other. There's just like a hard stop. This is the first time you've seen something pretty strange as you approach the next dividing line. The ground has a strange craggy quality to it. It's hard to, without rolling, know exactly what's going on with it, but it doesn't look like dirt. That's the thing I'll tell you. It looks like a strangely colored, maybe some kind of sponge or something. Instead of trees, there are large, like projections. They look like almost wiry things, like tree height or higher. They're kind of sparsely shooting out of the ground here and there. And then instead of plants with like stem and leaf formation, they're just kind of maybe like clusters of some kind of plant material, almost like big patches of algae or something, but on the land. And that's what you're seeing as you approach the next ecosystem. It's very strange. You can roll to know more. The thing I will say before we do that, though, is there also appears to be creatures in this biome. You see a number of insects. They appear to range from about your size to like elephant size. And you see them like smatterings of them here and there. They're like hard, chitinous insects. A lot of them have like, pinching mandibles and so forth. And they don't scatter when they see you like every insect you've probably encountered in your life. They either see you and go about their business, or some of them, appear to be taking a more active interest. So,
Yeah, I'll investigate that weird ground. What would I have to roll for that?
Nature.
All right.
11.
17? What the hell?
20.
That's with -2. That was a natural 19.
That's so unfair. Gladys has the highest modifier and the lowest roll.
I think Gladys is the type of person who's watched a lot of nature documentaries, but this is her first time out in the world.
She used to just stay inside and watch them and always get a little upset when they were like, the beautiful endangered, like, species of bird. It has been killed.
So 20 and 17, the group passes. The thing I will give you, the 20 Throg especially, is the smell of blood in the air. You've smelled a lot of blood in your day, and the coppery scent is unmistakable. So that is like the leading detail. I will say you also see insects kind of pulling up this ground, whatever it is. It's kind of spongy ground in like flakes, and it comes apart not like dirt with like tiny little particles, but as it tears away, like you see fluids leaking out of it.
Yeah. If the previous area was held by a god of death, I think this is a living biome. I think this entire biome is one living being, and these are parasites or even like symbiotic or communal skin mites.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Dan from downtown, he's on fire. The basketball bursts into flames as you hit a three-pointer from the other side of the court. I will start referring to these things more specifically. You see the giant dust mite rip out a flake of skin out of the living biome and eat it. And this thing, which is normally so small that it can't be seen with the naked eye, turns to you as it eats some like pus-covered skin and starts looking at your skin and wondering how you taste.
Mm-hmm. Are we actually entering combat now, or do I have to, or is it just looking at us?
You laser leads you up to like the edge of the biome of death, Duma Farm, and stops.
and looks over the dividing line to the next one and says, "I cannot go much further without risking the leadership of my people."
I understand. We can proceed from here.
To your question about if we're entering combat, it appears that if you just start walking forward, you are going to draw some aggression and, yes, enter combat.
Okay.
It is not necessarily an inevitability, and it doesn't seem like the mites are interested in crossing over. They like the skin ground. But also, Laser does have a big fucking scythe, so...
Right. Okay. Throg's going to cross his arms and start thinking about this. If this is an entire living biome and something is ranging out from it, and this is like a massive scaled up version of it, it has to be something that would be normally small. I think we're dealing with like a big amoeba if it's a weird formless thing not leaving footprints.
I'm thinking something along the lines of like a giant, like there's a relation between it and the biome, like a clownfish kind of energy, where but in this case here, it is out getting food for the biome itself, as opposed to getting food for itself.
I do think you may be right, Treyan. If this area is a living creature that must grow and sustain itself, it will have to be getting energy from somewhere. And if it is not photosynthesizing it from the air, from the sun, it will be needing an outside source of energy to feed it.
Besides, looking at how those insect things are eating the land directly, it's gonna need something to, rebuild that muscle tissue. You gotta get your protein after you work out to rebuild the muscle tissue. I don't see any form of is there any sort of biome steroids up here or something that they could take? I don't know, man.
I think Throg is going to suggest before we go into this next biome that we make ourselves look as little meaty as possible, if that makes sense. Because I think it sees us as a food source, but if it just thinks we're a roving clump of mud and dirt, essentially Predator Arnold Schwarzenegger mud covering ourselves, we might seem less appetizing and thus less interesting to them.
I will say that Treyan will refuse to do this approach.
Well, I think if Treyan's flatly refusing to do it, there's no way we can really do it. So I think that one's axed.
If 1 out of 3 doesn't want to do it, and the other and someone fails, then that'll be trouble quickly.
Yeah. Only other thing I could think of, I don't know if really hiding from them is gonna potentially do anything here, since it seems like they're aware of us. These are parasitic creatures. They probably don't know what we are, and they're probably not used to having to fight for food. We might be able to just scare them off if they start to approach us.
So we're talking about intimidation now.
Yeah.
There are many different approaches. So,
I what I would probably propose is also, we have the metallic breath weapons as well that kind of plays into this as well. We could use to aid in that. So, I think Treyan would engage in employing some breath weapon displays to discourage engagement.
So if you expend a resource like a breath weapon, you can roll intimidation with advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, everyone can roll advantage. You can paint a picture depending on how those dice go.
See, I could probably Gladys doesn't have a breath weapon, but she does have maybe she could use firebolt cantrip to kind of mimic a breath weapon if the other two are shooting fire or whichever ones the golden bronze guys do.
Yeah, I'll expend a breath weapon to try to scare these things off.
So Treyan rolls a 13 on his intimidation.
I got a 16.
Looks like a 22.
All right, so 16 and 22, the group definitely passes. Paint me the picture of you scaring off these dust mites. I do want to say that in the lead up to it, someone said, oh, they don't have any predators. They're not used to fighting for food. I gotta say, silverfish and pseudoscorpions are their natural predators. I guess content warning for Googling those. They're pretty scary.
Oh, silverfish are bad. I don't like those.
If they're eating the ground, they're probably used to not having to fight something to eat to just get food. But yeah, if there's things trying to kill them, that's different scenario.
Also, I guess, what is the build up to this? Because first Throg says, we can cover ourselves in mud to look non-appetizing. Treyan, do you elaborate on why you don't want to be covered in mud, or is this just a flat no thank you?
Treyan, when he hears the proposal to go mud, he's just like, man, I've spent way too much time making these clothes to deal with cleaning them off afterwards. I mean, a little bit of a dirt here and there is one thing, but caking mud, that's not my look, man.
Throg is already half covered in mud by the time he said this.
I mean, I assumed that you're covered in mud all the time, so.
Yeah, but now it's worse.
Okay, with a 22, she could probably, use her firebolt cantrip, in tandem with, her quarterstaff to, light the end on fire and, swipe at these things like little feet before they can get close enough to her to really do anything.
All right, so you have a spinning, burning quarterstaff to repel various mites and little insects as they approach. Eventually, they start giving you a wide berth as the team enters the ecosystem. Laser stays behind and just, says, "Good luck! If you die, I'm sorry."
All right. Well, Treyan will just give a big old thumbs up and a wink, he gives a Terry Bogard-esque sort of victory pose in the middle of trying to intimidate these mites, and then continues to follow the others deeper into this biome.
I think Gladys will wave at Laser, holding up the quarterstaff so there's fire just waving above her, and go hopefully we won't die. So hopefully we'll see you soon.
So as the Dragonborn fire off their breath weapons from time to time to scare back the skittering creatures of the biome, and the party continues north, the ground squishes beneath your feet. It is definitely skin. The long projections, which seem to have been a tree analog, are definitely hair. Strands of hair that, up to this size are surprisingly tough. You're probably aware that rhino horns, for example, are literally hair. And that is like this on a huge scale. And so the smell of blood and pus is very unpleasant. It's quite a psychologically trying thing here. Everyone, in fact, Constitution saving throw.
Sweet.
I got an 8.
I got a 5. Come on, Gladys. Let's see it.
I got a 7.
Yo.
Oh, no. Well, all of you trekking through here are going to take the poisoned condition. Now, this isn't literal poison necessarily. It is just how you all are feeling ill from being exposed to just bodily fluids and this kind of, on this scale, it is sick making.
I assume Gort does not need to roll, and he's also just poisoned.
I think Gort's having a great time.
Okay. Gort's fine. He doesn't have the intelligence to realize that this is horrifying and gross.
Gort has food all around him. He's just eating the ground, I'm assuming,
I'd like to, I guess, make a check here. Does this place seem like it's sick and dying?
Medicine. Yeah.
I got a 9.
I got a 16.
I got a 12.
12 and 16 succeed. I think if you bring this up, Throg, Gladys can take a sample or something, swish it around in a flask with some other chemical. It comes back, all signs clear. With the 2 above average, I will say you do not think there is a general sickness. This seems like a vital ecosystem. Just some pus is normal. Pus is a part of, the living process, just as blood is, just as the cycle of eating and being eaten is. So it's not pretty, but actually this whole ecosystem is on a much smaller scale happening on and in you right now because you are also alive.
You can't prove that.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, they're just as a normally healthy body can get, scabs and mites and all kinds of stuff going on. There is that stuff happening here. But on the whole, this seems to be a vital and healthy body of body.
Mm-hmm. I have another question, and I don't know how we would even determine this, but if this is a living creature and we're walking over its skin, I guess we don't even have an idea of what its body plan would be, but Throg wants to head towards a more important body part, I guess. If we were, say, on the torso, he'd want to head towards where the head is, I guess, if that makes sense. But I don't know if we have any way to determine where we are relative to anything else body plane wise.
Yeah, we're so small. It like hair on skin, that could be most skin.
Yeah, you crushed the survival and nature checks. So I think using those combined, you can try to go towards what seems to be more, sensitive areas. You're like, oh, this is just a big bare patch that you would think of as a back or a thigh or something. This is all undifferentiated tissue, and making some choices about where you're going.
I think I know how Throg would try to do this. I think he'd be ripping up the ground, looking for nerves, and then trying to figure out where they're pointing to.
Ugh. Gladys is gonna retch a little bit at that. It's she's not scared, but she's grossed out.
Yeah, before I reveal where you get to with this strategy, does anyone want to have a discussion amongst yourselves?
As we're walking through here, Gladys says, I have to wonder, I thought maybe the god of death was a little weird for having all of the little man-looking creatures, but the god who made this place, what was their intention? I don't understand. Do they,
I deeply fear this was a god of life.
Just...
in the most literal sense.
I guess. It just... You make a new world, and then you make a part of it that... as we're stepping over it, it feels like it less of a biome and more like a living thing stuck in the rest of the place. I don't like it.
The gods who made this land obviously had different ideas of how things should look and smell and feel. So I guess we're just kind of getting the smorgasbord really quickly, the extremes of those sort of ideas. I can't say to speak to whatever kind of mind makes a place like this, but right or wrong, they clearly either had their reasons or their fetish. I don't know.
The only thing I can think of as we're talking about it is maybe they just wanted to really demonstrate their knowledge of how life works on a biological scale, which I could... Not sure if respect is the right word, but I think I kind of maybe sort of get it.
Or it is an attempt to live vicariously past their own death. They create a being so large, so massive, so enduring, that a part of them in a way is still alive.
Do you think maybe there's going to be things directly attacking us?
I am almost certain of this.
Well, with you ripping up the flesh and messing around there directly, you're probably drawing more attention to us there, Throg.
An immune system is generally internal, but I do not know what this beast analog that they have been seeing could correspond to.
I keep thinking head, like the person's head, but I don't think that's right, because it seems to be able to reach people beyond, like to grab the little guys.
Maybe it's like one of those lizard types that has like a really long tongue and it's just grabbing it with its tongue and pulling it back into the biome.
So Throg, you've been following nerves by like tearing up the ground and trying to see where they go. And you're going to denser clusters, maybe looking for a head or something. But eventually you hit a big, thick bundle of nerves and the ground kind of convulses under your touch. Mm-hmm. And there's a deep rumbling. Everyone perception checks.
Mm-hmm. With disadvantage.
Oh, yeah.
I still rolled a 15.
17.
Holy shit. 15 and 17, even with the disadvantage, the group succeeds. And that's good, because this deep rumbling that could be mistaken for an earthquake leads you to look around, and you see, or rather you perceive, the subtle changes in the horizon. What could have been mountain ranges in various directions kind of move with a very patient stride, and in several different directions, what appears to be creatures or giants begin moving, probably from 3 different directions: north, east, and west, which with this success leads you to the information that there's more than one of whatever is eating the Pengmen of Duma Farm.
I mean that's kind of like what I was thinking earlier, is the fact that these are basically like an organism that is an extension without being an appendage of the biome. So it's doing its own form of harvest. Because I still think it'd be interesting to confirm if there was a place they were taking.
God. I think Gladys is just like, okay, so either lots of heads or not a head. Either way, don't like how that looks.
I say we bug the fuck out of here.
Yeah, it's hard to make out individual features, and this is part of the reason Laser is having a tough time describing what was seen, is because you think, oh, is that an arm? Is that a head? Is that a tentacle? It's hard to say, and all of the creatures have different contours or the different shapes. They're not like one uniform thing, and they're so large that it is difficult to take in the whole.
Treyan thinks for a moment and it's like, we should probably still do that thing that you like to do, Gladys, like document a little bit of what we're seeing here, so that even if we leave before taking care of this problem here, we can come back with better information, so that when an effort is made to stop this threat, it's with better knowledge,
Oh, of course, that's a really good point. I've been taking notes as we go. It's a little hard because I feel a little queasy, but I'm writing this down right now. I'm getting trying to draw these things. They're a little hard because they're really just hard to just wrap my head around what I should even put on the paper.
Yes, taking notes, very important. Also, they are much bigger than us, and it stands to reason as a result faster. We need to move.
Oh, yes, of course. She's going to keep writing her little notes as we start moving.
All right, yeah, you can definitely take notes. Are you running? Is this a sprint now? That's athletics.
Do you guys feel like running? Is this a running situation?
I think with the size of these creatures and the fact that they're distributed pretty far away and they're still able to probably get here quickly as a result of it,
We should be running the fuck away. They're large enough that even with whatever distance we get, we're probably still going to see them.
Treyan wants to try to also put down a depiction of these things while on the move. So he is not going to move fast enough to run initially, at least, because he wants to at least try to come back with more information for Laser about this, using his painter supplies to do like a little sketch on the move. We can move quickly, but not until after we get the notes down is sort of the energy that Treyan's kind of thinking here.
All right, so if we're not doing athletics checks, I will say you see that the shapes get larger and larger as they move towards you, and it is nauseating to look at. You've never seen a horizon chase you. It's just something that no mortal you're aware of has ever had to undergo, and it makes you want to, like you tear up just because of the sheer awe that you feel, awe in like the religious sense. And you also realize why there are no footprints north of Duma Farm, which is that they are of such a scale that they can, from the edge of this ecosystem, simply reach over and pluck things from the pens of the farm without actually leaving.
So Throg no longer cares about trying to... He considers this an extreme threat to the survival of the entire party at this point, because it reacted to probably a minor amount of pain in the grand scheme of things by sending 3 mountain-sized creatures after them. In his book, this is an extreme threat that needs to be immediately told to any... They need to survive to tell dragons that this is a problem. And if they die here, that is a big issue.
Yeah, I literally didn't know you were going to go here, but now that you have, this is one of the things that I think is unambiguously a threat to dragons. I think these things could snatch, even an ancient red dragon out of the air and just smush it, just pop its head off.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem.
He does not believe that getting like a more accurate painting of one of them is going to give us any information that would help survive this any longer than 5 seconds if it just decided to try to crush you.
This is less about survival and more about Treyan doesn't trust his own memory to describe this accurately to other people.
The mountain-sized monster is all he cares about, is all Throg cares about.
All right. Strength saving throws if we're not doing athletics checks.
Okay.
All right, we don't have disadvantage on this, folks, so...
Strength.
That'd be a 23 for Treyan.
21.
Holy crap, that's incredible. So as these things move, there's like convulsions and muscle contractions, things in the environment that could have easily thrown you to the ground or impeded you. 21 and 23 is perfect. The group manages to continue moving. I think in the distance you can see the line back to the farm. It's still some ways off, and now there are all these mites that are no longer afraid because you're not banding about fire. In fact, you seem to be scared and vulnerable.
I guess we either need to do another effort to kind of break through, or we're just gonna have to fight through the mites to get into the other biome safely.
I do think at least at this point, Gladys has put the notebook away. I think at a certain point, the awe gives away to a bit of frustration that she can't figure the fuck out, and so she just puts it away for now.
At this point, I think Throg would be willing to just attack and kill these mites if they're in his way. Because if they're not, if you can't just scare them off, threatening permanent bodily harm by physically attacking them is your best solution.
Yeah. This is a swarm of insects, so you can make an attack against its AC if you would like.
Yeah, I'll do that. I'll wheel around with this spear, or I guess pickaxe at this point. All right. I got a 14.
All right, that hits.
13 damage.
All right, sick. You using the pickaxe you got from the mines, just swinging through, these things as they approach you, just tearing through the chitin, just caving in, their heads and limbs and so forth. Throg is getting through easily. Treyan and Gladys?
Treyan is going to attempt to use his repulsion breath on some of them to knock him away and knock him prone to make the pathway a little bit easier.
All right, what's the save on that?
It'll be a strength saving throw, DC 13, so it's not great, but...
I rolled a 15.
Ooh, so that did not work.
All right. So, Treyan, you open your mouth and you try to blast them back with this breath that's specifically made for repulsing. You probably get like one or two before a flea the size of a Volkswagen lands on you. You take 4 damage, a terrible roll, just an awful dog shit roll.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't land fully on you, but it springs through the air and kind of sideswipes you, like someone missing a check in a hockey game.
Does Treyan make a divisive little joking comment like, barely even felt it, must have been a flea bite?
Gladys is going to use Tasha's Caustic Brew, which is each creature in a 30-foot and 5-foot wide line must succeed a dexterity saving throw or be covered in acid.
Oh my lord. 12. That's not going to do it, huh?
Nope.
All right. Paint me the picture of you melting fleas and mites and ticks and whatever else crawling around here.
All right. So with that, air of frustration, mounting up a little bit, Gladys is going to pop out one of her little potions. This one, I think, is going to take the form of it kind of looks like a little spray bottle, but with a real a long enough range to reach 30 feet. It's just acid splash over these insects everywhere.
All right. So yeah, these things just simply are reduced to slime and goo under your caustic brew, and you continue running. And with all of these successes, Gladys and Throg at least can run to the edge and back onto the farm biome. As soon as you cross the line, the mites snipping at your heels stop and kind of scuttle back to what they know. Treyan, do you have a second idea for how to get out of here? You've been body checked by a flea, and you are trying to catch up.
I can imagine doing the wings unfurled and step of the wind as a method. So basically he gets sideswiped, sees some mites coming after him, and expends wings unfurled and a key to activate step of the wind to turn on the disengage as a bonus action, and then proceed to run/jump past and over some of the mites as well as he can with the iridescent spectral wings kind of appearing on his back as he takes temporary flight over the foes around him. If you wanted a check for that, I'm happy to provide a check of some form to see how successful he is in evading the enemies.
As you take to the air, a flea springs at you with its incredible jump. Mm-hmm. 21 on your AC. That's going to hit.
Oof. That will hit, yes.
You take 11 damage as it slams into you in the air and starts scuffling with you, trying to bite you. Once again, this thing is actually physically larger than you, but with your expenditure of your wings, you are able to flap out of its grasp. It cannot fly, only jump. And so eventually gravity finishes the chase for you as the flea plummets back down, and you flap away.
Yeah. Treyan does land on the ground very ungracefully and rolls it off as he lands by Throg and Gladys.
Woo, Treyan!
We need to get back to the farm.
Give him a little clap.
we should probably keep moving, knowing that those big things can still reach out and grab us on the move.
All right, so now is the time for athletics.
With disadvantage, let's go, baby.
Ooh.
Come on. 22.
Let's see.
My first roll was a 25.
I rolled
I rolled an 8.
If I'm looking at it right, I rolled a 6.
6 and 8, the party fails. You've been rolling so well today. You crushed nature, you crushed survival, medicine, just nonstop perfect rolls until now. You start running south, try to get back to the farm. Probably in the distance, you can see it across the kind of scrub land. You're kicking up dirt as you run. Treyan, you can fly if you want, but you're not getting much faster than the others on their feet. When a shadow begins falling over you, you see it ahead of you, and then it just keeps growing and covering more and more and more ahead of you, and then the shadow falls over the farm. And I don't know if you stop, if you look back. Do you just keep going?
Treyan is probably going to be looking back while still trying to make forward progress, but it's probably not a wise thing to look back, is it?
I think Gladys is going to keep just trying to move forward as fast as she can, just because she can't think of a good logical reason to do otherwise.
Yeah, Throg's running.
All right, so everyone just keeps running as the shadow falls over you. You fail your athletics, so you are not able to get out of the shadow before something happens, which is, first of all, that the pure size of this thing blots out the sun and the stars above you, which are unusually close. They are large in the sky, and you feel a drop in temperature immediately as this thing gets between you and the source of light above you. But then, as it starts coming down, there is a change in pressure, like a high pressure system in like meteorology, but caused by a creature. And none of you see it behind you, but you are all pushed by this change in pressure to the ground, as whatever it is stretches out a limb. You don't know if it's a hand or a tentacle or a hoof or just a mouth on a neck. I think earlier someone said, what if it just had a really long neck? And whatever it is coming down around you, and it hits the ground on all sides of you, setting up a huge dust storm. And then you are all swallowed in darkness as it scoops you up.
Sweet.
This is a fun campaign, everybody. Goodbye.
Yeah, hope you like these nice dragons. They're all dead.
So the party is scooped up by some giant creature and immediately is just plunged into darkness. You obviously get dirt in your mouth and eyes and so forth, and you're tumbling. Everyone dexterity saving throw as you take some damage just from being picked up and jostled around.
Is this with disadvantage still?
No.
Okay. 22.
8.
Throg, you take 4, everyone else takes 8, as you are, jostled and slammed and so forth. Notably, you were not grinded to dust, which is totally a possibility in this situation. There's no immediate reason why this thing couldn't just pulverize you, but it does seem to be picking you up and doing its best not to smash you into paste. And it's just not possible to do it as delicately as it would be necessary to not take any damage.
All right, so just being jostled around. Treyan has blind sense now, so he can at least perceive his surroundings even in darkness. But it's hard because it's such a foreign environment that it's hard to kind of notice what's going on around him, I suppose.
Yeah, that's interesting because you took a level in fighter
when you got the endocrine system last episode. We haven't talked about that. You are one level above the party, but you can sense in the dark as a thing you can do now. We can talk about that. And Gladys has dark vision, so it's only Throg who is completely unable to see what's going on as you kind of tumble into the dark. Eventually, you come to a rest on something squishy and wet. Gladys, you can see in the dark vision, there's just some kind of flesh patch here, some kind of organ meat. You stand up, look around, you see the walls are made of flesh, the ceiling is flesh. You're in maybe not a stomach, but something stomach adjacent. I know someone earlier said Vore episode. I'm sorry. We could have avoided this fate maybe if we had outrun the monster.
I wonder if one of those other like sarcophagi things are in this biome. It'd be kind of weird with all the fleshy stuff around it.
I'm not sure what I would dislike more, a regular door in the flesh or a door made of flesh. And I feel like I'm not ready to think about that right now until we figure out what is going to happen to us.
Yeah, since Throg is a little bit hesitant to start a fire at this point, Gort does have dark vision. I think Throg has essentially called Gort over to him and kind of have you ever seen those videos of like special forces operators that have their like trained German shepherds that walk between their legs and move with them? I think Gort and Throg are kind of doing that, and he's using him essentially as a seeing eye dog.
Oh.
I love that you bring that up because I think about that all the time because my cat is always trying that shit and she is going to become fucking pulverized one of these days. Mm-hmm. It is her dream to have her skull crushed when she throws herself under my feet.
A BDSM cat.
See, it's unfortunate that the names are not reversed because then you would have a seeing eye Throg going on there. That would have been pretty great.
All right. Well, it was either the Vore episode or Seeing Eye Throg, and I'm glad we got there. Also, for anyone who's going to put a correction in the comments, we know Special Forces use Belgian Malinois and not whatever dog you said.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Well, all I have to say about that is, you know what kind of dog it is? Fucking nerd.
But yes, what were you talking about? You were just eaten by a giant monster, and I'm just thinking about dogs.
We're trying to figure out where are we? What's on the menu other than us? Is there a way out of here? Or have you just been taken to the leader of a different cult that's going to tell us that we need to go kill Laser or something like that? I don't know.
There's a lot of options here. If we've been eaten, I have a climb speed. Could I maybe climb up, get into its lungs, and just start giving it asthma? What happens if you start cutting at the brainstem of a creature this big? Probably not a great result for anyone involved to have a country-sized creature fucking decaying and dying nearby. Look, it's not a great situation. It's pretty bad.
All of these are terrifying and interesting possibilities.
Where does it go to the bathroom? Another horrible concern.
The first thing that Gladys is thinking of is this actually a stomach? Like, is there stomach acid or something that would dissolve, like, consumed materials? Or is this, like, a different flesh pocket? Terrible sentence.
Letting the medicine check from earlier ride, I will say it is not a stomach. It is a stomach-like organ, and that's like a big bag of some kind, but you are not being digested currently. As you move, and to reiterate, Throg is being led by Gort in a seeing eye Gort situation. Gladys has dark vision, and Treyan has blind sight. Can you explain your fighter level up? What else did you get, and what is the kind of flavor of you being able to Daredevil now?
Yes. So when Treyan got the endocrine system inside of him, he gained a level in fighter. And the first level of fighter is a pretty substantial one in terms of what you kind of get out of it. On one hand, it gives him proficiency with all weapons and up to medium armor, though he would never wear any armor for both aesthetics and also mechanics. He also gains Second Wind, which is just a once per short rest bonus action to regain some health. And he also was able to pick a fighting style. And there's a whole lot of fighting styles, and a lot of them actually don't synergize well with Monk. Like, you'd be like, oh, two-weapon fighting. No, that doesn't work well with what Monk has. Or dueling, where you can get bonus damage when you hold a weapon in one hand and you don't have a shield. Like, nope, Monk's Unarmed Strike does not count for that. So I chose one of the newer options for that, which is blind fighting, which means that he has blind sight with a range of 10 feet. Within that range, he can effectively see anything that isn't behind total cover, even in darkness or if Treyan is blinded. And moreover, Treyan can see an invisible creature within that range unless the creature successfully hides from him. So if anything's within 10 feet of Treyan, he is able to be aware of their location.
And the flavor on that is that, like, the various chemicals that you now have access to in your blood from the god organs are just giving you, like I said, Daredevil-like reflexes and perception.
Exactly. I also felt like it was a pretty good matchup to go with the fact that the god was a dwarf and mining-related things. So being able to see in the darkness, to sense danger, and yeah, like you said, almost like a heightened reflexive fight or flight response. It's not that he's visually mapping everything, it's just that he gets like a spidey sense type response when something gets near, and he's just ready to respond immediately to that.
Yeah, it's a little known fact that all dwarves are capable of echolocation.
I mean, they hit something, they hit something with a pick, and then they can hear where the pick is making noise from.
That's not entirely lore inaccurate. There's a thing in Tolkien where the dwarves can like sing to the stones and know where the ores are. It's basically the echolocation.
But yeah, that's what Treyan's level means in terms of being a fighter at this point.
All right, so you're all moving through this fleshy environment. You're talking about finding the lungs or brain or fleshy door, all of these various things. Letting the nature and survival checks from earlier ride, because this is still all the same ecosystem. It's all relevant and related. I think you actually do a great job navigating. I think there's parts where you turn a corner and you're like, oh, this is, if we fall down this tube, we're going right into some real dangerous stuff. Like, oh, that's where the acid is. Let's go this way. And you just kind of feel and, grope your way around, trying to get back to the surface, I assume, or like out. Let me know what your actual plan is, because you are being successful in navigating there.
Yeah, I think that's up and out is probably the best way, because I think any way we descend would be bringing us into like a stomach and the digestive tract, since it seems like we were in some sort of gullet.
Or what if we find a community that has been formed by all the people who have been ingested by this thing, that's just residents inside the fleshy subsystems of this whole thing? So there's just oh my god, it'd be like...
So you mean like a Vore forum, essentially? We're going to meet the residents of a Vore forum.
No.
It's funny you say that.
I've been wondering if we would eventually find like all of the penguin that have been like abducted, just like sitting somewhere or in something.
It's so funny you all say that, because as you make your way through, it's very funny. You make your way through the body of this creature, and you think you maybe hear something. Your perception checks earlier were successful. So once again, folding that in, it's like, oh, is that a gurgling from a stomach? No, it's voices. What is that? And you start going towards them, and you see a number of figures. There are penguin, these horrifying creatures, half man, half penguin, love being eaten, kind of waddling around in this chamber. And then you see 3 familiar people, 2 angels, and an Aasimar.
Wait a minute. I recognize those voices. He's just trying to call out to the three Celestials nearby in Celestial for the heck of it.
So Treyan, you get their attention, and the angels turn and look at you. You can sense that they're there because of your blind sight, but only Gladys can actually see them. And Gladys, what you see is that they're what used to be like perfect mannequin skin has become more pink and kind of veiny and throbbing. You see like up their arms, the flesh that is on their like hands continues up onto their swords, which are now covered in flesh.
Gladys is going to call out like, how long have you guys been in here? What's going on with your whole situation? That doesn't look healthy.
The Celestials all start coming towards you. You can see now that the ones have swords along the blades of their weapons are teeth that are kind of jutting out like the edge of a saw almost. And their wings are no longer covered in feathers, but appear to be made out of flesh, like on the bone of the wings. And they turn to you and they say, "Hello again. We have been gifted life."
Throg lights a torch.
Everyone can now see these angels, which are all fleshy all over, and surrounded by kind of a dozen or so pengumen, which are kind of just milling around. And the pengumen are in various states of having been eaten. There's some of them missing arms, some are missing legs, but they all seem thrilled. They are happy as hell. They're like someone dumped a bunch of tennis balls into a dog kennel. They are just like nuts about their situation.
Yeah, Throg's hands are not going to leave his pickaxe and shield for the moment, and he's going to sort of look to Treyan and look to Gladys. And I think he's trying to non-verbally communicate, we have to kill them right now before they attack us.
You say your hand goes to your pickaxe, Throg. They do not seem to notice or care. And as the three Celestials approach the group, their arms go out as if to embrace you, all three of them, but their weapons are apparently fused to their bodies by the flesh now that covers their bodies. So 3 Celestials are coming in for hugs. What do you do?
I think Gladys is just going to try to just duck under their arms. She's hoping that maybe the fact that she's short will give her a little bit of like an edge of like avoiding this very fleshy hug. She is not into this at all. She's like, no, thank you.
Dexterity save to avoid the hug, which is just a fun thing I get to say.
I was gonna say, before he gets hugged, I want Treyan to use his second wind to avoid to heal himself a little bit before
17
the damage.
All right, 17 is so good, Gladys. Not only do you duck under the hug, you make it seem like a natural, non-offensive kind of thing. You're just like, oh, what's over here? Oh, look, a penguin. And then you just kind of pirouette away. Treyan and Throg, are you hugged?
Throg is immediately using his breath weapon on these creatures approaching him, and unfortunately, I'm going to have Gort not attack these creatures because he does not want him to physically touch Gort, because I think this is like a spreading infection or something. Yeah, breath weapon. They have to make a dexterity saving throw or take full damage, otherwise they take half. I'll roll the damage.
3.
So that would be 14 damage.
All right. Yep. They go to hug you, and you just open your mouth and shoot flames directly into the grill of the angel that's trying to hug you. Treyan, what is your response?
I would say first Treyan's response is like, I should have been healing myself before we got into the situation. But the fighting game reference to me, I'm like, okay, is it possible to tech counter the hug to prevent interacting with it, like in Street Fighter 3 Third Strike? So I do think like just pulling back away from it or just evading the hug is what Treyan's main move is going to be.
All right, that also seems like a dexterity save.
That would be a 17 as well.
All right, perfect. You do a third strike thing, just like what happened in the famous Chun-Li fight. The crowd goes fucking bananas.
He digoed the angel.
A cheerful choir of Pangmen screech out.
Yeah, they love it.
Do I get now? Granted, now can I do an immediate super in response to it? Is it stun locked as a response to that?
So we can absolutely roll initiative here and continue in combat order. I want to say before we make that decision that the angel who got a face full of fire reels back and says, "Why? Why would you reject beautiful, beautiful life? Sweet succulent life."
I am so upset that I was right that this was a god of life.
You fucking nailed it, dude. You've been on fire this episode.
I'm good at, I don't know what the word for it is, spotting story threads like this.
Yeah, you have my number for real. But that's what's going on here. So these angels are very confused why you would do this. And you can roll initiative and attack. In fact, because everyone is successful in their dexterity saves, so everyone can attack before we get into the order. There's no such thing as a surprise round in 5th edition, but an informal surprise round I think is appropriate.
Let's see, that's a disadvantage for everyone, right? Because of the poisoning thing?
Yes. Yep. Attack rolls and ability checks, and initiative is an ability check.
All right.
Okay. 17.
Gladys, you're up first.
All right. Gladys is going to immediately ask. She's immediately going to be like, "We're not rejecting life. We already have life. We don't know what your life you're offering us is, and we've never seen anything like this. Did you happen to find a door at any time before this?"
Yeah, the biggest angel turns to you, Gladys, as you say this and says, "Yes, we found a beautiful door written in ancient script, and inside we found treasures and gifts." And the angel holds up what appears to be a shield, but it is clearly made from the exoskeleton of a giant ladybug. So it is like the red and black of a ladybug's carapace is kind of a buckler, like a handheld shield. That was the item inside the reliquary of life. And another angel says to you, "And there was a coffin, and inside all of this lovely flesh."
Okay. Was there any I think Gladys is probably going to start getting her attack ready, but just one more question, just like was there anything that said what this person wanted you to do with these precious gifts?
I think the Aasimar answers you and says, "When we picked up the shield, an insect woman appeared and told us that life was a part of death and death was a part of life. And it goes round and around and around. And that's like this place, which is a haven for the creatures here, next to the farm, which is a haven for creatures like you. Isn't it beautiful?"
They're having this nice conversation as Throg is trying to brain someone with a pickaxe in the background.
Absolutely, yeah. This is like a bullet time conversation. You're absolutely like springing into action, but these are the answers to your questions.
I think what Gladys is going to do is that this conversation is going on, and she's slowly pulling out like one of her little bottles, and I think she's going to cast Flaming Sphere. A 5-foot diameter sphere of fire appears in an unoccupied space of your choice. Any creature in that sphere must make a dexterity saving throw or take a full fire damage. And she would like find the center of these angels, like where she would be able to do the most damage, and throw it in there. You got a 6.
6. The angels of life fail and are immolated.
So that is 10 fire damage as she takes one of her like bottles filled with like this viscous red fluid and just tosses it like in there, and there's a big fiery sphere almost explosion that happens.
All right, Treyan, it's your turn. This fire, from the splash gets kind of all of the angels who are just one entity at this point, just the angels of life.
Mm-hmm. I should be careful not to be too close to that sphere, because anyone who ends their turn adjacent to it has to make that save at the end of all of their turns. So, Treyan is going to do the standard business of, he did a tech counter, so he's going to try to follow up with a nice flipping kick to one of their faces. So we got an attack roll. That is a 10 with disadvantage.
10 does not hit.
And then the second attack is a 12 with disadvantage.
12 does not hit, no. You are poisoned, and so from the sickness, your strikes just aren't making a dent. I think you are hitting, your foot hits the flesh and just kind of bounces off, and it's just not meaningfully painful.
Yep, and then afterwards, Treyan, after those two strikes, just sort of girds himself, uses a second wind to heal himself 7 hit points as he sort of braces back and just sort of grimaces at how ineffectual he is under this poisoned status.
Yes, and now it is the Angels of Life's turn. They have 2 attacks here. First, they're going to attack Treyan. That's a 20, so that's going to hit.
That hits. Yep.
You take 14 damage as a fleshy sword with a serrated edge made of teeth rakes across your flesh. And then the Aasimar, who is part of this, reaches towards you with one hand, which splits open, and a blood and bile squirts out at Gladys. Dex Constitution saving throw as this foul fluid coats you.
Let's see, our saving throws disadvantage too, or ability checks?
Nope.
Okay, so that's 18.
That saves. You take 4, only 4, as this nasty stuff gets over you. It's mostly psychological damage, because whatever this is, it smells bad, and you don't want it in your eyes and mouth and so forth, but it does not severely harm you, and we're at Throg.
You said that their swords are made of teeth and stuff now. Do they have any metal left on them, from armor or anything like that?
Not that you can see, no.
Okay, there goes my idea. All right, yeah, Throg's just gonna try to brain him with the pickaxe, and he'll use his bonus action so Gort can attack after this. So let's see here. I don't know how to force disadvantage in the rolls.
It should be either shift or control on the keyboard as you see a minus icon appear over it. Left shift or left control, I believe, are the 2 modifiers to do plus. Yeah.
14.
That hits.
All right. That does 9 damage, and I'm going to use Gort's reaction to add in a bonus d6 fire damage. 19 and 27.
Hell
Wow.
yeah.
That'll be 10 damage.
So what was the total damage from Throg and Gort altogether for the audience?
Let's see here. 9 plus 14, 24. 24 plus 27 is, let's do some quick math, 31.
Wow. So yeah, they go apeshit on these angels, tearing through them with the pickaxe, ripping parts of them off with the jaws. It's looking really good for Dragon Quest. But at the end of the order, we have a layer action here as the room you're in, which is made of flesh, is racked by spasms and borborygmia. Strength saving throw.
12.
22 for Treyan.
24.
Only Gladys takes damage, 12. The rest of you are able to keep your feet. The whole wall, the walls and the floor and the ceiling are all shaking with whatever bodily function is happening, and Gladys is just thrown around. Just as how some animals will eat stones to crush up their food. Ruminants is that kind of animal. Imagine that is what is happening to you. You are a cud in one of the chambers of a cow's stomach.
Oh, this is just getting worse and worse. This is Gladys's least favorite biome. She's sure of it, even if they find a biome made of nothing but needles and acid and spikes.
Well, that sounds fucking metal. Yeah, so I would see why that one would be cooler than this one.
Yeah, I mean, you had the Vore biome, then you can have this sadomasochism biome.
I failed my flaming sphere, so you roll your damage again, and it's still your turn.
Right, that's 12 fire damage. Should I make a concentration check? Just checking.
Yep. Just that's a Constitution saving throw.
So, Constitution saving throw, you said? All right. That is a 9.
So that would mean that the Flaming Sphere does that second instance of damage, but by the time your next turn rolls around, it fizzles out from the damage that you took from the stomach reacting to you.
All right. And then for my turn in this action, I'm going to cast Ray of Sickness.
Oh no, sickness is the opposite of health.
That's so unhealthy.
That 27 is the first roll of the ranged spell attack. You can make a second one to do the roll with disadvantage, and we can just choose the lower of the two.
Also 27. Okay, so that will be...
Yeah, so
she's just casting Ray of Sickness. She pops another bottle. It goes ooh ah ah ah, or however the song goes, and it just starts burning up their flesh.
All right. Constitution save, that's a 10. They fail, so they are poisoned. Oh, this is not looking good.
nice.
Using necromancy on someone blessed by the god of life does feel like a pretty pro move. This is a pro gamer move.
The god of life's two biggest enemies, necromancy and Minecraft.
Treyan is going to just try punching that thing, well, disadvantage or not. That's his only method he has. 14 for the first attack.
That hits.
This is going to be poison damage, and so that's 8 poison damage, and a key is going to be spent to impose a stunning strike. So make that saving throw.
13.
I will confirm something real quick here, but I do believe that is going to fail. That's DC 16 Constitution saving throw. So not only is the angel poisoned, it is also stunned.
All right, is that your turn?
No, I still have 3 more attacks to do now.
I infuse his attack with a little bit of fire damage.
Okay, I think we're just running up the score. We're doing end zone dances now.
Yep. So now these attacks do not have disadvantage anymore. They just are regular attacks. So second attack is 25.
All right, we're doing the Dirty Bird. I don't know if we have how many NFL fans we have in the audience, but
oh, good gosh. I'm just gonna roll. I'm gonna roll the remaining 2 attacks, roll the damage, then paint the picture here. So key point for doing flurry of blows. That's a crit and a 10 on the last attack there. Yeah. So the remaining damage that Treyan does is okay. So that's 17. 25, 31 damage, almost all of it poison, a little bit of fire. So this is one of those cases where as the angels are getting down with the sickness, they are slightly staggered, and Treyan takes the opportunity to hit the initial attack on his super and proceeds to do a nice 10-hit combo sequence, Eddie Gordo style, on this on the angel, before settling back to where he came from. Didn't hit every hit. He whiffed on one of his inputs. He improperly buffered an attack, but he did get enough hits in to make a big statement with another 31 damage on the angels.
I just realized the Throg hasn't killed a single person in this game so far.
Sure, but no one has died yet. You let the angels go the first time. You let Rex go.
Yeah, you're right. No one has died. That's weird. We should change that. We should kill these guys.
I would say that Throg, like Treyan, is not going to go for the kill because that's just not the way he fights. But Throg has full reign to just go in and get the kill to finish it.
If that's an option, then yeah, I can describe what happens here.
Yeah.
I think Throg, after these angels have sort of been opened up, right? Throg's going to come in with an overhand chop directly into the chest of whatever the center angel is. And he is then going to sort of like set his feet and twist and try to rip out the rib cage of this creature.
Yeah, I mean, with these damage numbers, these people are at your mercy. You're telling me what happens, not the other way around.
So Throg overhand chops into this creature's chest and sets himself down, ripping its rib cage out, giving Gort the go-ahead to leap into its chest and start tearing its organs out and crushing its heart between its teeth.
All right. So technically, Gort gets the first kill of the campaign.
There we go. He's a good boy.
I think Gort deserves this.
So what happens, like, if Gort / Throg, like, touch that shield, if they even want to?
Oh, he's not leaving the shield here. He does... Throg is thinking that what caused this problem is the flesh of this creature. The shield is a magical item. He also doesn't want to leave it here for something else to get it.
Oh yeah, like definitely. Like I don't think the shield is like going to give us flesh disease. I think it's just a cool shield or something.
Throg, you pick up the ladybug shield and your AC increases by 2. On top of what your shield gave you before, because you had a shield.
All right, let's see how I can manually set this. I have 20 AC.
And the I'm assuming that the corpse kind of has like the remains of the god kind of like strewn over it and such.
It's hard to differentiate flesh from flesh here. There's probably god organs somewhere in this mush, but everything is made of mush, so it's kind of hard to tell. Also, the penguin are going berserk. They're running around. They're making terrible noises, somewhere between a bird's noise and a person's noise, and it's cacophonous and bad.
Okay. Throg essentially... even if like these god organs could be salvaged, he considers this like an inherent corruption of whatever it's going to encounter, and he thinks that these creatures were essentially defiled. They have been forcibly turned into something effectively against their will, based off of how the endocrine system ripped into Treyan without any warning or consent, and he is going to just take his flaming pickaxe and hack these things into little burnt up bits.
You know, I like to think that it's like the rationale is like, it's like you've read if you open the sarcophagus, that means you consent to the EULA of the sarcophagus. So, you know, opening the software is consent.
Yeah, but those EULAs never stand up in court. Mm-hmm. And Throg happens to be the judge in this case.
I also had a term I came up with earlier today that describes like the sarcophagus guy like enticing someone to unwittingly engage with it, and I call it crypt bait. And that's just what these things are. You know, you just don't know where you're gonna get, but you're like, oh, I gotta click on that, and oops, now you're an abomination.
Because like Treyan didn't even do it intentionally. He just kind of leaned and shoved it open a little bit too wide. But yeah, if Throg and Gort are incinerating this thing, Gladys will help. She's got like her fire cantrip. She could do that totally.
Yeah, and Treyan can like use fire kicks on it. You know, just
everybody's like that one gif from like the JoJo that's in Italy, where they're all just kicking this thing.
Yeah, I think we just have to continue proceeding.
Yeah, we were making pretty good progress until we came across the Angels of Life.
Nice moves there, Gladys. That created a really nice opening for us.
I'm glad that I could help. That thing is worse than those flesh spider things. Worse than the little guys with the human faces. This is just overall completely like every sense a bad experience. Glad that I could glad that we don't have to deal with it longer than we did.
This place is an abomination that cannot be suffered. We do not have the time or resources to deal with it now, but this cannot be suffered to live.
Of all the words you could have said, you said abomination.
Sure did.
Yeah.
You had no way of knowing this, but in the next chamber over, you hear someone say, "Did someone call me?"
Ooh.
Oh, what the fuck now?
Who is there?
Several people walk into this room. It takes you a minute to figure out what their whole deal is. Everyone can see now by the light of the flaming flesh. But the group of people who walk in now are all dressed in colorful clothing. They have hats on, they have coats on, they have big shoes on. But after you look at them closely, you see they are made of goo. They are made of some kind of like living, semi-solid situation that is not skin, like your skin or scales. And one of these people walks up to you, Throg, and says, "Hello, it is I, Abomination. You rang."
Am I so tough enough? Feels like I'm wearing down. It's not viciousness, losing ground. Am I taking too much? Did I cross the line? I know